Hi there, everyone. This is Dr. Manu Gill, or all of you can just call me Manu. I am doing today's presentation on things about health we know but don't do. And a little background about myself. I'm a medical doctor. I completed my medical schooling in an island called Aruba. It was an American medical school called Aureus University School of Medicine. I later went on to complete my clinical and elective rotations in various hospitals in the US and clinics, which were in cities like New York, Atlanta, and Chicago, where I stayed for almost 2 years. And I also did a couple elective rotations in Canada, completing all of the necessary board exams in the US and Canada. So I'm a complete medical graduate. I'm a medical doctor. However, I don't practice medicine. I'm not licensed or board certified. I instead chose to leave medicine completely to start up my own business with health coaching and more of a focus on entrepreneurship, where now I educate, I have a bit of an audience where I do lectures, I coach them, and I take my own clients and really just help them keep them accountable to follow routines that will allow them to have a healthier quality of life, which is based on goals that they set with me. So I hold them accountable and consistent to hit those targets. And another fun fact, I'm a graduate of the Dale Carnegie course. I graduated for the Dale Carnegie public speaking course last year in fall in Toronto. And I just graduated a couple days ago doing assistant coaching with the same Dale Carnegie course in downtown Toronto. So that's a bit about my history. And now that you know a bit about myself, that's my background, and this is why I'm giving this presentation today. So, Joanna, can we get the next slide, please? So, we know how to take care of ourselves. We know all the things that we should be doing, but let's talk about getting regular exercise. So, the amount of exercise that you do really varies to each person. It's all going to be very individualistic. Of course, if you're training to be an athlete or some type of competitive performer, you are probably going to be exercising every single day or at least most days of the week. Now, if you're like me, you just want to focus on your fitness, you want to focus on the benefits of health, and you are not trying to become some type of competitive athlete, you can do 3 days a week in the gym and get amazing, amazing results. Now, for some people, they may opt to do maybe a couple days a week. It might be 3 to 5 days. Some people may only be able to go to the gym once or twice a week. And it really depends on what you're able to do with your given routine, with the commitments you have in your life. But most people should be opting in to get at least 3 to potentially 4 days a week in the gym. And if you're unable to go work out in a gym by lifting weights, which I think are amazing, I do resistance training with weights, which has a lot of great benefits for you. I also do cardiovascular training mixed in with my workouts, which for me would be skipping rope. Sometimes it's using a stair climber or using the treadmill. But these are things that you want to incorporate in your routine. And the benefits of getting regular exercise is that one, you are potentially offsetting most types of diseases from forming in your body. The most common type of diseases that most people in the world have, or at least we know of, are metabolic disorders, which would be things like hypertension, cholesterol, and diabetes. Now, if you do regular exercises, you're bringing down these levels of blood pressure, you're bringing down your cholesterol levels, you're bringing down insulin resistance, contributing to your type 2 diabetes. And exercise is proven to also support us with mental performance, right? Our emotional control, and also sex drive. So for people who may not be able to perform as they would, exercise can definitely be something that people can incorporate to feel the longevity, to feel the vigor that they want to feel. So there's many different types of exercise, and you get to decide what works best for you. Next slide, Joanna. Okay, following a healthy diet. Now, everyone knows that we need to eat right to feel right. And the biggest thing about a healthy diet is that, like with exercise, diet and exercise get to be individualistic for you. Now, the rule of thumb is to eat as many whole organic non-processed foods as possible. So what would this mean? This would be food that goes bad, food that is not perishable. This is food that expires, and if you leave it out for a couple weeks not refrigerated, it will go bad, it will smell, and it will rot. So this is type of food that you want to eat. So what are the most common types of whole unprocessed organic foods? So this could be things like meat, for people that want to be cautious on the type of meat they're eating. Often to eat white meats, which would be chicken, it would be fish, it would be turkey. There's also red meats, which can be consumed. They contain a lot of good nutrients, vitamins, and also high levels of protein content. And depending on your unique metabolism, you may opt into maybe eat red meat a couple times a week, or maybe more sparingly, maybe once every couple weeks, depending on what you prefer. Fruits, vegetables, also, these are foods that go bad and contain amazing nutrients that you need. They also contain fiber, which prevents you from being constipated. And anytime you eat fruits and vegetables, they're composed of water, which means that you're hydrating your body as you're eating foods like fruits and vegetables. So it's a win-win situation. You're getting a nutritious meal or a snack, and you are also, in a way, just hydrating yourself by consuming those type of foods. Um, and the next slide. So adequate sleep. What does it mean to get a good amount of sleep? So for most people, you will want to aim between 7 to 8 hours a night. Some people can get away with 6 to 7. I myself try getting about 7 to maybe 7.5. But most people can get away with maybe 6 to 7. Some people need the full 8 hours of sleep. Some may even sleep longer than 8 hours, maybe potentially up to 9. And some get less than 6 hours of sleep on night, on average, and some may even get less than 4. Now, sleep is something that you definitely don't want to neglect, right? Sleep leads to so many things in our life. Having a good amount of sleep, a restful amount of sleep, leads to so many factors in our life which are great for us compared to not having that amount of sleep that we need. When we don't get enough sleep, we are increasing stress in our body. We are increasing the amount of cortisol in our body. Cortisol is associated with inflammation in our body, which can lead to a number of different disease processes like type 2 diabetes, obesity, having high cholesterol, hypertension, for some people, potentially even formations of cancer or autoimmune diseases. So, getting a good amount of sleep, right, in those hours that we discussed. Now, if you're a child listening to this or a teenager, they will probably need more than 8 hours of sleep a night, and that's fine. You let them have 8 to 10 hours of sleep, provided they're still getting up for school, they're still able to do their responsibilities. 8 to 10 hours of sleep for teenagers and children is fine. It's good. Let them sleep. Their brain is still developing, and each time we sleep, we are actually regenerating neurons in our minds. We're regenerating neurons. We're regenerating our body, other cells, mitochondria, which is essential to energy production in our body, which just allows us to function and do so many different things. So don't neglect sleep. It also plays an important factor to our emotional, our mental health, our mental cognition. How do we feel? If we don't get enough sleep, we might be, lethargic. We might be grumpy. We might be upset. We might be easily, our emotions might be easily triggered. And these are because we aren't getting enough sleep. So definitely something important to consider. And the next slide, please. So stress management. So what does it mean to manage stress? Well, everyone in the world has some type of stress they're dealing with. Some people are amazingly resilient. They're able to handle the amount of stress they take each day. Some people may not be able to handle stress as well, and they easily get flustered. Uh, they may run into problems with finances, maybe relationships at school, at work, professional. So these are all things that stress can contribute to. But because we're talking about health, stress contributes to disease. Like I mentioned earlier, stress contributes to higher cortisol levels in our body, which leads to the development of metabolic disease, which is diabetes, hypertension, and high cholesterol. Then there is also development of autoimmune disorders from increased amount of cortisol, but there's also many other factors that lead to autoimmune illness besides just having increased levels of stress. And in some cases, stress can even cause certain cancers to form, right? And also, the more stress a person takes, right, the less likely they are to live a longer, high quality life. And there's a reason for that. The reason is because the more stressed out we are, the faster we breathe, the more um, the more our blood pressure rises, the higher levels of inflammation we have because we are not adapting our body to manage the stress. So, stress is very different for most people, but what can help you contribute to not increasing, but improving your stress levels are doing things that relax you. So, for many people, there are different things that we can do to relax us. But one of the things that contribute to managing stress very well is going for walks. Go outdoors, get some fresh air, go for a walk, right? Most people in the world are also not breathing the correct way. They're breathing in and out through their mouth. You want to start developing deeper diaphragmatic breathing, which is in through your nose, and if you are able to, do it back out through your nose as well. But the main thing I want you to consider is definitely getting that deep inhale through your nose. You can either exhale out through your nose or through your mouth, whichever is more comfortable for you. But the stretch for all of you is to develop habits where you are consciously breathing in and out through your nose. And you will watch how your stress levels will plummet down and how you will improve your quality of life just by taking control of your breath. And another tactic people can use for stress management is by doing the vagal massage, which is just massaging your carotid artery. You have two. It runs each way down here, right? Through your neck. And essentially what you want to do is massage the part of your neck right around here. For most people, it will be on the side of your neck. And you never ever want to massage both arteries at the same time like this because you potentially can faint. And the reason is because you are giving the vagus nerve, which innervates the carotid artery. The vagus nerve is a rest and digest nerve that runs throughout your whole body, essentially controlling and innervating many different other functions, organs in your body. But the vagus nerve, when you massage both sides, sends an increased relaxation response to your heart, which potentially will get your heart rate to go really down because you are relaxed, and potentially you can faint because now your heart isn't beating as it should, getting the blood circulating to the rest of your body. So worst case scenario, you faint, but then you'll be conscious after that episode. But the disclaimer is to only do one side at a time, never both. So these are also ways that you can contribute to improving your stress by just doing basic techniques, by breathing in and out through your nose, doing the carotid massage, going for a walk, right? Or I would even say taking a hot shower or a cold shower. These are all things that support people depending on your preferences. Next slide, Joanna. And hydration. So everybody knows that you should be drinking water. Water, for most people are going to be drinking at least 7 to 8 cups of water a day, and that is great. That's great. That's a number that you want to initially, get to intentionally. Most people, to stay adequately hydrated, you want at least 6 to 8 liters of water a day. And water controls so many different functions in our body. Just to be properly hydrated, have that consistency of keeping our body in check with hydration is important for so many different reasons. So, one is that when you drink water, you are actually keeping your inner intestines, your digestive tract smooth and moist, so it allows the passage of food that much more readily and also quickly. So the point of this is most people, if they're facing constipation, I want to know how much water is that person drinking a day and what type of foods are they eating, so I know they're getting the right amount of fiber in their system. And then based on that, we're going to make adjustments if they're drinking enough water or if they're consuming fiber. So hydration, know that if you are facing constipation, the first thing you should be thinking about is this person adequately hydrated? So that's one thing. A lot Drinking the right amount of water will allow you to have normal proper bowel movements, which will prevent us from being constipated, but also it will allow us to feel better because we are not retaining food that we ate 1 or 2 nights ago, but we are actively keeping our digestive tract and our rate of metabolism high and in good quality, so our body's performing as it should. And also, water, right, provides sustenance and also the adequate nutrients for your brain. Now, your brain, for most people that don't know, is surrounded by a fluid that keeps it soft and cushioned, right? This fluid is called the CSF, the cerebrospinal fluid. And essentially, you want to drink water so you are providing nutrients to your brain, but also keeping that cushion intact in your brain, preventing things like headaches, maybe even lethargy, fatigue, because these are things that people may face when they, let's say, for example, this person is someone who drinks coffee and they still feel tired. The next thing I want to know is, well, are they hydrated? Because sometimes you may not even need to drink that extra cup of coffee if you're feeling tired. You may just be dehydrated. So definitely know hydration is essentially important for brain health. It's important for metabolism. And it's also important so we can still use the bathroom and function as we should. Next slide, Joanna. So, regular health checkups. This is important for a wide variety of reasons. Now, in medicine, when I was in medical school and I was learning from my attending physicians, there is a term used to describe a certain demographic of patients. These are patients usually between the years of age, maybe 18 to about 38, 40. In medicine, we call this the healthy population. These are individuals who will probably not be going to see the doctor often enough because they're the healthy population. These are individuals that most likely will not have any disease process, will not have any metabolic disease, autoimmune disease, cancer. They will not have any injuries or anything like that because people around this age frame are still very healthy. Of course, there are going to be exceptions. There will be some individuals in this age range, maybe even younger, that may have cancers, that may have autoimmune diseases, that may have some type of metabolic disorder, or they're overweight. Of course, that's a possibility. But for the most part, that age group does not go to the doctor enough because they're genuinely pretty healthy for the most part. So, why doctors or appointments are important, going to an actual licensed board certified physician. The reason is your doctor, right? They are going to be checking your vitals. They're going to be checking your vitals, which is things like your blood pressure, your respiratory rate, things of that nature, your pulse rate, just to make sure that your body is functioning as it should at baseline. And if there's a family history you have of something, For example, in my family, a lot of my family members, they suffer from metabolic diseases like hypertension, diabetes, cholesterol. So these are things that I want to go to the doctor to get my blood test periodically to make sure that my levels of certain electrolytes, certain levels of enzymes are functioning as they should. And if there's any change that they're not functioning as they should, then this is definitely something I want to take control of and also find ways to mitigate. So doctor visits are not only when you're sick. You can go to your doctor, get checked out by them to screen for early detections of diseases that may be prevalent in your family. Some people, they may have cancers prevalent in their family. Others may have autoimmune diseases. Some might have some type of enzyme deficiencies, which are rare types of diseases that you don't really see in the general public. But these are all things that can happen. And the only ways to mitigate how much our disease progresses or how much we are able to control our own health and get it back to baseline depends on if you are having regular visits to the doctors and getting checked out by them, and also just having that relationship where you're able to share information about your health. Next slide. So for everybody, this goes without saying, avoid smoking and limiting alcohol, or completely stopping smoking and drinking. Okay, so with smoking, this doesn't only mean cigarettes. This also means, just smoking in general. So it could be marijuana. It could be, I know some people do shisha, they do hookah. These are all things that where we are inhaling smoke into our lungs and our respiratory tract. Anytime you are smoking, you are inhaling this type of smoke, you are damaging the epithelial lining or the mucosa, which is a fancy word just to say the skin of your lungs and the rest of your respiratory tract. And if you damage the epithelial lining of your lungs, eventually that will lead to a production of mucus. So for people that are heavy smokers, they may have a cough, which is known as a smoker's cough. And that happens because there is an increased production of mucus in their system, which is from the inhalation of smoke into their system, which damages the alveoli, which is they're just little sacs of air which provide air to your lungs. Just that's how you breathe. Those inflate when you inhale, and they deflate when you exhale. So these are all things that get damaged when you are smoking. So it could be cigarettes, it could be a hookah, it could be a vape. Vapes are also included in this slide. Avoid smoking vapes, marijuana, and also smoking things like cigarettes, maybe even vapes. The research isn't so much shown on vapes compared to tobacco, but cigarettes have numerous amounts of chemicals in them mixed in with the tobacco. And cigarettes cause a number of different cancers, in addition to lung cancer. It also causes, it can cause a type of GI cancer. It can cause bladder cancer in men. It can also potentially cause reproductive issues, type of cancers there for women. It can also cause brain cancer. All right, if the cancer metastasizes or travels from the lungs, it can travel to the brain. It can travel to your blood. It can travel to your bones. So cigarettes, the chemicals in the tobacco itself cause numerous amounts of cancers. And alcohol itself also damages your liver. It damages your kidneys. It can also lead to kidney and liver cancers, right? So with all of these things, I do understand that we only have one life on this planet, all of us combined. There's only one life we all share. And with alcohol and smoking, if you choose to do these things, then remember, do everything in moderation. And then what moderation is it's your baseline. It's what you get to decide what moderation means for you. If you're only going to do these things in a time of celebration, whether that be you aced an exam, you got a job promotion, you're getting married, or you're celebrating a friend's accomplishment or a family member's accomplishment, you're going to have a drink or you're going to smoke. then maybe do it once a month, maybe do it once every couple months, whatever that metric is for you. If you are going to do it more consistently, and that's your decision to make, I'm not going to tell you what to do and what not to do, but I will say if you do decide to do these things more consistently, then I would say you need to find ways to mitigate the damage you're doing on your body. You're going to have to find ways to improve your lung health. You're going to have to find ways to improve your liver health, right? So either that might be like breath work for you, that might be using a sauna to improve your breathing, or if you're drinking and you are damaging your liver and you know you're doing that, you may have to consider eating foods that will support your liver health. But remember, right? Moderation is what you make it out to be, right? And the main thing is that you know these substances are harming you if done in excess and done unconsciously. But of course, if you are going to enjoy them, enjoy in moderation and discover what that means for you. Next slide. And screen time management. So this is really important because a lot of people, whoever suffers from insomnia, one of the first things I want to ask them is, are you looking at a phone at night, or are you watching TV, or are you on an iPad or on a laptop, or are you playing video games or something? Like this is something that definitely affects a lot of people at night with their sleep. And screen time management can be important, one, because if you can limit the amount of screens you use at night, it can actually help you increase your state of mental performance, but also increase and improve your emotional control. Now, why would I say this? Well, think about it this way. When you are on your phone at night, right? You're staring at a bright screen in front of your face at night when you should be sleeping. You are stimulating your brain by taking that light. It's going through your eyes. It's stimulating circuitry in your brain, which is tricking your mind now that it's time to be awake. And when it's time to be awake, the hormones in your body and also the neurochemicals in your mind, they're going to be changing. So you're going to be in a state of wakefulness as opposed to rest and sleep. And if you do this enough, you will find that now your sleep latency period, so the period that you want to initiate sleep to the moment that you actually fall asleep, will be a little different for you. Instead of maybe falling asleep within the first 5 to 10 minutes as you would if you were not using the screen, you may find it may take you 20 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe even more to fall asleep because you were using your screens. So the biggest rule of thumb for screen time management, biggest rule of thumb, don't use any screens within the first hour of waking, and definitely don't use it within the last 1 to 2 hours before bed. Now, do I break this rule? Yes, I do. Sometimes I'm also, waking up using my phone first thing in the morning, but I'll realize that the days I use my phone first thing in the morning, I'm a little sluggish. I'm a little tired as I would if I were not to use the phone within the first hour of waking. And the reason is because when you wake up, you are in a deep sleep. You are just waking up to the world. Your mind is finally getting configured to realize it's up. What are we going to do next? What's on the daily planner? And you're using your phone, which is stimulating your mind with so many different things at once. Emails are going off. There's a new thread on Twitter, Instagram. Someone's liking your picture. On LinkedIn, there's a post going out. Your favorite YouTubers dropping a video on YouTube, and you're just getting all of these notifications on your phone. Now, that's a lot to deal with in the morning, and that is going to lead you to be more fatigued in the first couple hours of waking, and you will feel a crash, right? Within the first couple hours of waking, because you used your phone the first thing in the morning, or any type of screen for that matter, not just your phone, any type of screen. So definitely you want to do your best to limit it within the first hour of waking. So if you wake up at 7 a.m., at least use your phone after 8 a.m. And if you're sleeping by 11 p.m., the no later you should be using any type of screens is, I would say, personally by 9:30 to 10 p.m. And that's the rule of thumb you want to keep for screen time management, and also just to support you with sleep and wakefulness. Next slide, please. So, in Canada, USA, and in many parts of the world, unfortunately, there's a mental health crisis. There is a mental health crisis with many events that are going on in the world, and some people just may not be able to build that fortitude and the strength they need to increase their mental resilience. So definitely be mindful and take care of yourself. Right now, what are some practices that you can implement into your routine for mindfulness and mental health? Well, there are many things you can do for this. Personally, I love journaling. I love journaling the first thing in the morning as a way to be mindful with myself. It's me with my journal, writing down things I'm grateful for. I don't care about the punctuation, my writing, or if my spelling's off. It's just for me. It's for my records. It's for no one else to read. If someone else reads it, that's fine. But journaling is a practice for me. I also do yoga. I do traditional yoga at home. And the reason I do that is because it's a way for me to, one, improve my flexibility, two, improve my joint strength, just keep my joints more stable and more, keep them, just strengthened. And also during yoga, I practice breath work and just being mindful and meditating, which to me is a non negotiable because I need that time to make sure I'm good mentally and emotionally before I show up in the world and I go interact with other people because I want to be the best version of myself possible. I definitely don't want to show up in a way where I'm either tired, I'm going to be agitated, I'm going to do things which just aren't going to be right to other people. So I do these practices to show up for other people, but also myself. So mindfulness, right? And mental health. There's also just maybe hanging out with friends and family that make you feel good. Either it could be your significant other if you're in a relationship, it could be your friends, your siblings, your parents, whoever. Spending time with people that make you feel good, and also avoiding those who drain you. You don't need to spend time with people who are draining to your health in some type of capacity, right? Uh, you also need to be more wise about the energy that you're taking in from people. Some people will lead you feeling more energized, whereas others will completely drain you and make you not feel in your most radiant self. So, being mindful of who you surround yourself with. You are the average of the five that you spend the most time with. So if you're spending time with people that make you feel good, you'll go out and perform good. If you're spending time with people that deplete you of resources, your time and your energy, then that's how you'll show up in the world. So don't discount these things. There's also other practices that you can incorporate. Tai Chi, maybe going for walks in nature, spending time in nature, playing with your pets. Um, Maybe practicing new hobbies like playing a guitar, maybe playing a keyboard, drawing, coloring. These are all things that can make you mindful and just improve your mental health because these are exercises or activities you're doing for yourself that are there for you to take a breather, be conscious, and be aware of what you're doing in that moment. Next slide, please. Preventative measures, right? So the biggest preventative measures that we talked about today are exercising, right? Weightlifting, cardiovascular exercises. Weightlifting is good because it increases your muscle strength. If you have more muscle, you will prevent injury, right? You will prevent back injuries, knee injuries, shoulder injuries, elbow injuries, right? These are all common types of injuries that happen when people fall. So if you work out, you lift weights, and you are active in the gym, you prevent injuries, right? Another preventative measure would be to eat right. If you're eating right, you are controlling the amount of nutrients that you're taking into your body. So if you're eating foods with lots of sodium, like processed foods, then that will lead to high blood pressure, potentially even diabetes. And just by not eating processed foods, you are taking preventative measures, sorry, for your health, which will inevitably help you even prevent or just pause the progression of those type of metabolic disorders. So definitely your diet and nutrition are the biggest preventative measures. Other preventative measures you can take by going to your doctor's office regularly. If there's vaccinations you need to catch up on, then do those definitely too, right? If there are any also preventative measures could be things like screening. So for men, most men will get a prostate exam by the age of 40, right? Just to detect their level of getting prostate cancer. Most women will go for mammography maybe after the age of 45 or 50, depending on where you live in Canada and USA and your own unique family history. You're going to be going getting a mammogram by 45 to 50. Colonoscopies are usually done at the age of 50 for men and women, right? So definitely these are all things that lead to preventative measures. So you want to be on top of your health, know the type of risk factors that you may already have because of genetic predisposition or maybe environmental based on certain actions or inactions you may have or not performed. And also just by knowing that you get to take care of yourself and prevent these things from happening so you can have that healthy quality of life. Next slide. We talked about this limiting processed foods. You want to eat foods that go bad, that have an expiry date, that are not in cans like this. These type of foods, they're heavily processed. They have lots of preservatives. They have lots of ingredients that you can't pronounce, and that can be very challenging because these foods, yes, they might be convenient, they might be affordable, but at the same time, it pays to do your best to eat the whole nutritious diet that we talked about, and really limiting these type of foods that are associated with inflammation and also just metabolic disorders as a whole. Next slide, please. Social connections. We talked about this, right? So social connections, you definitely want to know who you're spending time with. You want to be around amazing people. You want to be around people that uplift you. We talked about this. So definitely that can be a big contributor to the quality of your life, your mental health, your emotional health, right? And with social connections, we want to bring as much face-to-face interaction as we can, right? All of us went through the pandemic in 2019, 20, and a bit of 2021. Many of us were isolated for potentially a year or longer, where we had to do Zoom interviews, we had to do Microsoft Team interviews, and we just weren't able to go hug our loved ones. We weren't able to go spend time with people we love. Um, and these are all important things that we're starting to realize now, because there are many, many people in the world that are reporting that loneliness is a contributor to either sadness, grief, or some type of stress in their life. And there's so many more people lonely now in the year 2023 than prior. And the reason is because, one, social media may be a contributor. Two, people may have become more introverted after spending numerous hours in home, right? And also just with so many different stressors in the worldwide, that social connections should be at the top of our list to engage in that high quality life we all want. Next slide, please. So limiting caffeine and sugary drinks are incredibly important, because the more caffeine we drink, the more you increase your heart rate, which will cause you stress, which can lead to indigestion, that can lead to metabolism issues, that can lead to a whole plethora of other issues. But caffeine, if you are doing focused work with it, if you are doing something that you need to be productive, then definitely have your coffee breaks, do what you got to do. But remember, coffee, especially if you suffer with insomnia or you find a difficulty sleeping, you want to have your last cup of coffee no later than noon. If you are going to bed by 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., 12 a.m., it doesn't matter. Your last cup of coffee should be by noon or within that range of 12 to 1 p.m., preferably before noon, because coffee has a half-life of 6 hours, which means an actual cup of coffee, the caffeine levels in your body will last for up to 12 hours. You may not be highly alert, you may not be super focused, right? A couple hours after drinking your coffee, but coffee stays in your system for up to 12 hours. So if you're drinking your last cup of coffee by 6 p.m., just know caffeine is still in your system until 6 a.m. the next day, because it takes 12 hours for it to be excreted and cleared. Sugary drinks can also contribute to insomnia if they're drunk um, before bed. So this is definitely something you want to consider maybe having earlier in the day, or replacing the sugary drink for something like water, as we discussed before. And also, sugary drinks can also damage your teeth, the sugar left on your teeth, which is why it's important to keep our teeth clean, keep our teeth healthy, which is why we want to practice good technique with using a toothbrush, using toothpaste, using floss, and definitely this is something to consider. Next slide, please. So proper posture and ergonomics. So a lot of people complain about having back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, all these different types of pain, which are musculoskeletal. Musculoskeletal means that it's affecting your body. It could be affecting your joint, your muscle, hence musculoskeletal, muscles, skeletal, just joint tissue. So these are all musculoskeletal conditions that happen because of bad posture. Some people may spend time in their chair all day. They might have a desk office job. Others may be typing on their keyboard a lot, which is why they may develop carpal tunnel, some type of tendonitis and ovositis, which is important because these are individuals that now need to figure out ways that they can either buy the right type of furniture or tools that allow them to have a more comfortable experience. So for people that are always seated, including myself, consider buying a standing table. That way you are still standing, you're doing your work, but you can practice good posture. Good posture means you are standing with your feet facing forward. There's enough space between your feet, which should be your shoulder to shoulder length. Your feet are facing forward. Your shoulders are back. Your chest is out, and your face is forward. That is what it means to have good posture when we are standing straight. That will actually, for a lot of you, may even increase your height by a couple centimeters if you just learn to stand straight. And another way to practice this is by going to a wall, putting your back against the wall, putting your delts and your shoulders against the wall. Keep that position for a few seconds and then walk away from the wall. And then you'll notice a difference with your chest out, your shoulders back, and really just having that improved posture. Ergonomics, maybe considering buying a mouse and a keyboard which is comfortable. So when you do type, it's definitely going to be good for your wrist and you won't be having pain there. Next slide. Regular dental care. We talked about this. In addition to going to the doctor, go to your dentist. You should be going every 6 months, twice a year for most people. I go every two times a year, which is 6 months. Make sure my teeth are sparkling white. Make sure my teeth are healthy, just because I want to have a set of teeth when I'm a senior, and so I can still keep eating food. So this is definitely something don't take for granted. Your teeth health are important, extremely important. You want to brush your teeth. You want to floss. Flossing is actually more important than brushing your teeth. The reason is when food gets stuck in between your teeth, over time, what happens is that food acts as an irritant to your gums. It causes irritation, which is why people may develop some type of gingivitis. They might have some inflammation or pain in their gums. The way to get rid of that is getting rid of the food in between your teeth. The way to do that is by flossing. I personally like the floss sticks. They're a lot easier to use than the string, right? Brushing your teeth, extremely important, right? Definitely you want to do it twice a day. Once when you wake up, ideally, and also once right before you go to bed, just so you can clear out any plaque, any tartar formation, and hopefully get some of the bad bacteria out of your mouth, the bad germs, and when you go to sleep, you will prevent any type of infection to take place because you already cleaned your mouth. And the best time to do that is when you wake up and before bed. Next slide. And I believe this is our last slide of the presentation, regular eye care. I myself wear glasses. I go to an optometrist once a year now, and I also need to go to an ophthalmologist to get my eyes checked. So I go once a year to the optometrist and once every 2 years to the ophthalmologist. My issue with my situation is a little different, which is why I need to go to an ophthalmologist twice a year. But most people should be getting their eyes checked at least once a year to once every 2 years. If you wear glasses like myself, you have myopia, so you're nearsighted like myself, then you may need to go to the eye doctor, the optometrist, a couple more times a year compared to the average person. But don't neglect your vision. We only have one set of eyes. We only have two eyeballs, and we see the whole world with our vision. Our vision is a very important um, it's a very important, what's the word I'm looking for here? One of the sites that we have. It's one of the five senses that we have. Sorry, it's a very important sense that we have, being able to see the world with our own two eyes. So definitely don't discount taking care of your eyes. You definitely, if you wear contacts, you want to make sure that you're taking your contacts out at night. You're keeping your contacts clean. Never sleep with your contacts. There have been horror stories I've seen in the ER, during rotations where a couple people had their contacts, like there were a bunch of contacts in their eyes that they left the night prior, and it was bad. So definitely, if you wear contacts, make sure you are taking control of being aware to take them off at night. You are keeping them clean so you prevent any infection from taking place on your eyes, which if your eyes get infected, and worst case scenarios that potentially can lead to blindness, sometimes even irreversible, which is something that you do not want. So it's always good to stay cautious and working together with your optometrist to really get your vision tested to make sure you are able to see well. So next slide, please. And if there's anything else any of you will add, please, you can put it in the comment box below. You can send us a private message on LinkedIn, and we can get in touch, and we can definitely discuss other things about health that we know but don't do, which I'd be happy to provide more insight into as well. But for those of you listening to this, I really appreciate whoever listened to this, and I appreciate Joanna for moving our slides along. And to all of you, I hope to hear from you soon. Until then, take care and have an amazing day.